What's up, y'all? This is your man, Mike D. And wanted to drop a little something on you today. Hope everybody's having a great day. One. Two, I just hope you're just having a great start to 2020. I hope everybody is doing what they need to do to maximize on the goals, maximize on their gifts, maximize their talents, their skills, anything that they've thought about or anything that you've thought about. I hope that you're on the path to making that thing happen. Like that's one of the things that I really hope for you. Truthfully, I'm in the process of doing that myself, right? Just executing on some of the goals that I've set for myself. One of the things I wanted to talk to you all about, and I really haven't done a talk on this in a minute, but it's about my book, Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto. Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto. This joint right here. So actually, I dropped it right before Father's Day of 2018. So we're coming up on 2 years in which this bad boy has been out. And, I really want to emphasize the need and the necessity for Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto. So when you think about manifesto, what is a manifesto? A manifesto is in essence a public contract, right? A public declaration. So when you see something that's a manifesto, somebody is basically making some type of public declaration. And the title is Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto. Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto. And I think you probably wonder, what is the necessity to have a Black Fatherhood Manifesto, a dynamic one at that? Well, to get an understanding or reasoning behind Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto, you got to get a backstory as to why it was created. And and it's kind of an interesting story, but take you back to February the 21st of 2018. And that was the day in which Billy Graham died. So now I know you're asking, like, how does Billy Graham inspire a book on Black fatherhood, right? Billy Graham. Yeah, that Billy Graham. Like, how does he inspire a book on Black fatherhood? And it's actually interesting how it all came about. So I was at the crib working on the computer, and that was the day that he passed away. And, all the channels, all the news outlets were pretty much doing continuous coverage of, the life of Billy Graham. And being completely transparent, I really wasn't watching it, but the TV was on in the background while I was on my computer. And when I was looking up at some specific moment, this thing scrolled across the bottom of the screen that said the Modesto Manifesto. And then things just kind of kept going, but it was all in reference to Billy Graham. And so the Modesto Manifesto, I was like, Modesto Manifesto, what is that? Like, I was thinking like the Communist Manifesto or something else. But long story short, I just happened to look up what is the Modesto Manifesto. And what I ended up finding was back in like the 40s or the 50s, something like that, Billy Graham and a couple of his pastor buddies went to Modesto, California, and they went to a hotel. And they, in essence, did like a little retreat together. And what they did at this hotel in Modesto, California, was they each came up with different, like a list, or they compiled a list together of the different things that led to the downfall of pastors or religious leaders of the past. So they listed out things like issues with money or sexual indiscretions, issues with women, and how you operate and all of that. And so long story short, they really formulated this loose list of things that led to the downfall of religious leaders of the past. And it was never a formalized document, but it was loosely, kind of known as the Modesto Manifesto. And these were the things that these guys held each other accountable for. And they put in place to help themselves not fall victim to these things that, plagued the religious leaders that came before them. And so when I saw that, I was like, yo, this is interesting. And I was in the process still of doing my podcast, which I still do, Black Fathers Now. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, yo, that would be something that would be dope for Black fathers, right? What if we had this list of things that we can hold each other accountable to and kind of create like this accountability network, so to speak, But then also, how can we put this thing out there publicly and in essence make a declaration that, look, we're going to do these things, we are going to be committed to these things. So in that moment, on February the 21st of 2018, the idea for creating a Black Fatherhood Manifesto came about. And I ended up titling it the Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto because fatherhood is dynamic, right? It's not static. Like, this thing is ever changing. It's always moving. There are always different things coming in and going. And, if you're a dad, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you know a dad and when they, you call them and you want to talk and they like, yo, I got to go. Like, stuff changes, right? That's just the nature of being a pops. And so in essence, on February the 21st of 2018, the idea for creating this manifesto, this document, this agreement came about. And so at the point, I had already done numerous interviews in which I've interviewed brothers from all over the world. We talk about life, experiences, all of that. And we were tying it back into fatherhood. And so what I ended up doing was taking some of that information and compiling it into a book. And that, in essence, is the Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto. Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto. And in essence, it's a formulation of 10 commitments needed and or are necessary for excellence in Black fatherhood. And so, like the Modesto Manifesto, these things that led to the downfall of religious leaders of the past, the same concept was placed into the Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto, in the sense of these are 10 things needed for us to commit to, so that we don't fall victim to a lot of things that may have plagued some of our ancestors in generations past. All right. So there are 10 commitments. And those 10 commitments are: I'm committed to optimizing my finances. I'm committed to continuously nurturing my interpersonal relationships. I am committed to developing effective communication skills. I am committed to confidently believing in myself. I'm committed to continuous mental, physical, and emotional development. I am committed to traveling and exposing my family and myself to new ideas and experiences. I am committed to giving my resources, expertise, and time to others. I am committed to being truthful and living with integrity. I am committed to embracing the changes in life. And I am committed to spending time getting to know myself, my history, my issues, and my gifts and talents. Those are the 10 things in the Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto that are broken down, and examples are given. And they're things that we as Black fathers need to be committed to. But what's interesting is, there's a village here, right? The African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. We are also connected to a spouse, or to the mother of our children, or we're connected to parents or a support network. And one of the things we also have to be mindful of is not just about us being committed, it's about our spouse or those that are in our support network being committed to helping us to achieve those things. That's a big part. We don't always think about that. We only think about what we need to do personally. But yes, we need to do our part. But we also need the commitment for those around us to support us in that process. Because if we're not committed to these things, these 10 commitments, then what ends up happening is we then open ourselves up to fall victim to a lot of the issues and challenges that are facing society, right? And we're not perfect, right? We still screw up, we still mess up, we still say the wrong thing at times, do the wrong thing. We're human, right? That it is what it is. This does not guarantee that you'll be perfect, but by publicly declaring some of the things that you are committed to and putting it out there and really asking for a network of accountability, what you end up doing is you give yourself a fighting chance to at least move in that direction, right? You open yourself up to get checked when you need to get checked, right? Because we all need to get checked every so often. Like, if we have a full network of nothing but yes men as dudes, that ain't nothing but problems. We know that, right? If you got nothing but brothers that are going to tell you to keep on doing what you're doing, if you're doing wrong, that's not going to lead down the right path. You got to have at least one, two. I encourage you to have a whole crew of brothers or folks around you that are going to tell you, dude, you need to shape up when you need to shape up. Or, man, you ain't thinking right now. like somebody who's not scared of you, who's really got your best interest at heart, who will hold you accountable. And the whole concept of the manifesto is to create this whole network of accountability for brothers, because at the end of the day, we need it, man. I mean, I get tired of reading story after story about how one of us has fallen victim to one of society's ills, or somebody in a prominent position, something happens, and when I look at that and when I see that, the first thing that I think about is, first, yes, the brother might have made a mistake or did something wrong or was out of pocket. But then, two, where is his homeboys? Where is this network of accountability? Who's there to check him and pull him back and say, look here, dude, you're going down the wrong path. We need to surround you. We're going to love you, but yet we're going to check you as well. Like, where does that happen? And so to me, the Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto doesn't have all the answers, right? But it's definitely a start, in my opinion, to moving down that path of really helping excellence in Black fatherhood to become the new average. So if you've not already grabbed a copy of Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto, again, Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto by your boy, Mike D. You can grab it on Amazon, right? That's one place. You can also go to blackfathersnow.com, and there's a link directly from blackfathersnow.com to grab a copy as well. And I mean, while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, grab some apparel, all that stuff as well. But definitely grab a copy, man. The information contained in the book is very much timeless, right? This is stuff that you're going to be able to gain from now and 8, 10, 20, 30 years from now, because these are all concepts and principles that transcend generations. If you look back, these are concepts that probably could have impacted fathers 30 or 40 years ago, right? And so let's just be mindful of that, man. Let's be committed to what's important. Let's be committed to turning excellence in Black fatherhood into the new average, and let's commit to making it happen. And I know a lot of times folks will say, if you want to hide something from a Black man, put it in a book. I beg to differ. Stuff is in the book. Let's go make it happen. All right. So y'all grab a copy of Dynamic Black Fatherhood Manifesto, currently available on Amazon, or you can visit blackfathersnow.com and click the link where the image of the book is, and you can grab a copy there. And definitely reach out, man. Make sure to follow me on Black Fathers Now, at Black Fathers Now on Instagram, Facebook. Shoot me some messages. Holla at your boy. I love to connect with you. And until next time, y'all be blessed, well, and wise, and we will get at you next time. Holla back. Peace.